Everybody, welcome to the GC podcast, where we explore the future of coworking, community, and the spaces that bring people together. I'm Liz Elam, the founder of GC, and today we're crossing the pond to talk with a true innovator in the UK market. Our guest today is Adam Walker, CEO and co-founder of Foundry. Adam and his team are reinventing the creative co-working sector by building vibrant, purpose-led ecosystem for brands and entrepreneurs across the UK, with locations in Eastbourne, Poole, and I cannot pronounce this. It's like Walthamstow.
Walthamstow, yeah, Walthamstow.
Oh, I was close.
Not too
Okay.
bad.
So Foundry
Leicestershire?
is, yeah, I don't know. I was calling, Suffolk. I was calling it Southfolk or something.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, back to it. Foundry is proving that world-class workspace does not just belong in central London. It belongs wherever local business communities thrive. Adam is a serial entrepreneur, a passionate community builder, and the host of his own podcast, Work This Way, which you can see right behind him. Adam, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks, Liz. Really appreciate the invite to come on.
Oh, you bet. I'm excited. Y'all, I met Adam at GC in London, and there's, how every now you just meet somebody and you feel like you've known them forever and you just immediately get along. I felt that way about Adam and his whole team.
Oh, that's great.
So great.
We got a brilliant team at Foundry.
You do. Okay, so
we're
this
crossing
year,
the ponds. We're
I
looking,
know. This is coming out the morning of GC in New York. So it's going to be perfect. You're crossing the pond for us, and I super appreciate it. Okay, so one of the things that I think is a huge part of my success is I have a very sacred morning routine. It's not very long, but it's, I get up earlier than I need to get doing anything, and I drink coffee and I pray and I meditate and I set myself right with the world. And I'm curious if you have a morning routine.
Well, yes, I do. I have been, and I'm sure we'll get to this later, pretty nomadic over the last few years building the business, and we are all over the UK, and that's going to carry on. But I've managed to get some structure back in my life, which I'm really thankful for, and I really appreciate. And nowadays, I actually live down on the south coast, down on the beach. So my week is generally a bit of commuting, a bit of work from home, and a bit of work from my office, which is in Poole in Dorset. My morning routine is up at 5. So I like to get up at 5 a.m, double espresso, go and have a look out the window, I like to look at the beach. And then
that's a dream.
I'm up. Then I'm up and at it. And normally I'm doing a HIIT class first thing with a bunch of my mates, or it's a 5 or 10K. I've really got into running in the last 6 months, and we'll probably talk about that journey. But I've really got into running, and sort of, I guess the mental health benefits of that as well have been really good for me. And I tell you what I love doing, and I've just discovered it, sauna. So I've jumped on the sauna bandwagon big time, and very lucky where I live, we have a beach sauna. So I do a communal sauna, and I've started taking a member a week to a sauna.
Oh, I love that.
But it's a bit like Work This Way. It almost turns into a bit of an interview with a member, but it's such a lovely experience to be able to take a member, listen to their stories, and often them listen to me as well. So that's my morning routine, and
I love that.
That's why I'm at home. I'm traveling a lot, but when I'm at home, I like to stick to that routine.
Yeah, I recently at a co-working space I go to, they have, I think it's PEMF machines, and you can't really be on your phone when you're on these machines because it's using electric pulses. And what's happened is I have met and engaged with so many other members because we are sitting there for 20 minutes and we're not on our phones. And it's been really kind of magical. I'm like, oh, look at this. We're having conversation.
That's the beauty of a sauna. Only thing I would say is that other people in the sauna, because it's communal, there you can hear them tutting and huffing. So here he goes again.
Well, I think it's awesome. I love it. Okay, so you have a very diverse background: construction, real estate, even the gaming industry. What brought you to co-founding Foundry?
Yeah, I think there's two real threads there. So I grew up in pubs. My grandfather was a publican, and my earliest memories are pubs. So pubs back then in the 80s, 90s, we're talking real community hubs where the landlord could witness and sign your passport. Landlords
Mm.
had real power in the community. They were stewards of youth, social clubs. Sports and social clubs are an incredibly important part of my childhood. The club steward at our sports and social club brought us all up, kept us all on the
Mhm.
straight and narrow. And my grandfather was no different. He was a pretty tough publican. So I saw pubs. That I saw that fade away, sadly, and I saw the
Mm.
centre of our community, the public house, disappear. And I saw that right from the front row, because the second thread for me was my gaming business. So when I was 17, I started operating gaming machines across the UK, and that grew really quickly. It grew into quite a chunky gaming machine operating business, and I actually was the youngest holder of a gaming board certificate, as it was called back then,
Mm.
in the UK. So yeah, roll back then. I was in the pub game, if you want to call it that, for a long time. And as I said, I watched um, that pillar in our community disappear, and those pubs
Mm.
get sold off, monopolized, and then eventually turned into Tesco Expresses, which
Yeah.
which was a huge shot, a huge shame. And
Yeah.
off the back of that, we've lost our local banks, we've lost our post offices, our local grocers, etc. So yeah, our high streets have taken a bit of a battering. That really led me to Foundry. And my journey really in the property game really started 10, 12 years ago, when I started to convert big sheds into small sheds for small businesses.
Mm.
And that really manifested in a business called Crate, which I was the founder of. And together with some investors, we built the first Crate scheme in Loughton in Essex.
Mhm.
And it's still a great scheme. And that really was all about homing um, micro, pre-revenue, cross-sector, cross-life stage businesses. And the idea was that you could build affordable workspace, premium, not
Mhm.
um, not not sort of not substandard in the regions. You know,
Mhm.
give it a central London vibe, but do it
Yeah.
on your local high street. That was the idea, and that really led me to Foundry,
Mm.
which was born out of Crate.
So cool. So cool. And so how many locations do you guys have now?
Yep. So we've just hit 3 years old last week. You may or may not have seen the LinkedIn post, but
Yeah.
we're 3 years old officially. We've got 6 live locations, and we're currently delivering another 6/7 in 2026. So
Amazing.
yeah, so it's a bit of a diverse value proposition. So as much as we are a co-working flex operator, we have got other value propositions in our stable, which I'm sure we'll get to.
Yeah, yeah. Well, tell us about those.
Yeah, so we've got the core workspace value proposition, which anyone that's been to a Foundry will know. Typically, they are in either suburban or regional locations. So the first 3 schemes were Eastbourne in Sussex,
Mhm.
uh, Poole in Dorset, which is where I'm sat today, and Walthamstow, as we pronounce it, in E17, northeast London. And those 3 locations, they don't stand out as prime workspace locations. But I roll back a little bit now. I roll back 4 or 5 years, and I started to think about Foundry and what Foundry was going to be. What was our mission? And at the time, we looked at Brighton instead of Eastbourne.
Uh-huh.
We looked at Bournemouth instead of Poole. And these are all sister locations. So these are sister towns,
Uh-huh.
sister cities. Um, and for me, I felt strongly that we could have more impact in Eastbourne than we could have in Brighton. Subsequently, we're in Brighton and Hove now. But back then, I felt we could have more impact in Eastbourne. So our first location was off pitch, let's just say. But that really tested the value proposition, and we had to pivot. We had to make a few changes along the way. You don't get it 100% day one. I've learned that. All came second, came along second, and benefited from all the learnings from Eastbourne. And these are good sized spaces. These are 20,000 square foot workspaces, 400 members in each space, and they are premium for the towns. And then along came our first London location, but again, suburbia, Walthamstow, end of the Vicky line, start of the Vicky line, whichever way you look at it, and been a real success. And that is in a slightly different setting. That is in a shopping centre. So,
Mm,
sorry, beg your pardon. That is in a build-to-rent scheme. That is in a residential scheme. First
mm,
two were in shopping centres. So they were in shopping malls and where we essentially repurposed redundant retail space. Walthamstow was our first build-to-rent or residential block. So we went into 15,000 square feet of vacant commercial space in a build-to-rent
mm-hmm,
scheme. So fantastic vertical integration with the 500 homes above us and the 1,100
mm-hmm,
build-to-rent occupiers that needed somewhere to work. And in that scheme, we also put some retail in as well. So we started to broaden our value proposition away from
mm-hmm,
serviced office, dedicated desking, meeting rooms, etc., studios, and what have you. So we started to test bookable wellness spaces, amenity space,
mm-hmm,
retail space, and actually the smartest operator in Walthamstow, in my opinion, was the dog groomer, the doggy parlour. Uh,
mm-hmm,
very quickly, those ladies realised that there was 1,100 people living in the build-to-rent scheme,
mm-hmm,
but there were also 225 dogs. So
mm-hmm.
they put a dog groomer in the ground floor of the build-to-rent scheme, and they are a very busy dog groomer now, as you can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite mixed use. We then grew it into Wandsworth in SW18, Southwest London, again in a residential context, and that is part of a incredible build-to-rent complex, Legal & General's flagship New Acres build-to-rent complex, a sort of £500 million development, which was completed in 2024. That's part of an indie-led retail value proposition. So
Mm-hmm.
the curator there is a guy called Denz Ibrahim, and many of you will have heard of Denz. He's head of retail and future at Legal & General, and his vision for New Acres and he's implementing it right now, is to have all the ground floor be independent, and it's independent led, curated
Mm.
high street. This is a really powerful story, and we are
Love
part
that.
of it. And then we ended up going down to Brighton and Hove. After turning Brighton away for Eastbourne, we we opened in Hove at the end of last year. Real success story. 25,000 square foot Foundry. It's got its own gym. It's a really, really lovely scheme. If anyone's down in Sussex, hit me up and I'll hook you up.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, and I love that you mentioned wellness a couple of times. One of, my big things is, whatever you're going to spend on physical health, I want you spending the equal amount of money on mental health. And y'all, Adam is taking the stage today in New York. And one of the things that I really liked about Adam is, anytime I get in front of a CEO, I'm pitching that I want you to offer free mental health services. And Adam was the first he was actually the second person who just said yes. Most CEOs then go down a line of questioning mainly about how much is this going to cost me. And then, after lots of banter with me, I get them around to let's try it at one location. And but Adam was the first, there was the second person, Cliff Ho was the first who just said, "Yeah, we're going to do that." And I love that. I love your commitment to that. And we're announcing it on stage at Juicy today that, kind of how you guys are going about it. But I just wanted to publicly thank you for being one of the pioneers in this new initiative that we're pushing. It really means a lot.
Yeah, Liz, you laid down the gauntlet. Naturally, naturally, my CFO was terrified when I came back and told her what we were
I
going to
love
do.
to terrify a CFO.
Uh,
It's one of my
but
favorites.
but I think what I did, and I'm sure we'll get into this in New York, obviously, but
Hmm.
and we're going to present exactly why we're doing this and the backstory, because there is a backstory. There's a
Hmm.
very personal story for me as well. And what I did is I took a practical view. I stepped back and I asked the members. I asked, circa 1,000 members, what would make a difference to your life?
Hmm.
And I got very clear, concise feedback. And I then tried to take that back to the CFO and then and then and then process it and turn it into something that was actually deliverable. It's
Hmm.
real. We're doing it.
Love it. And I think, the thing is, and I know I know you're not doing this for retention. I know that 100%. But I also know that this is going to be a retention huge success story for co-working. I just know it. I just know it. I'm a futurist. I know shit.
Yeah, and I'm totally aligned, and yeah, and we'll get into it in New York,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
with
for sure.
you today.
Okay, so back to legal in general. How did that
Mm.
partnership come about? And can you tell our audience a little bit about why it works so well?
Yeah, I mean, I was exiting Crate at the time. This
Mm-hmm.
was pre-pandemic, and if I was to roll right the way back, I actually went to Legal in General's HQ to pitch raising some money to grow my business.
Mm,
And they were fantastic. They stood a head and shoulders above all the other potential investors, backers,
mm,
funders that I'd met on that journey, that fundraising journey. And the reason
mm-hmm,
that LNG were not just the people are fantastic at Legal in General, but the real reason, the real attraction for me was their commitment to the towns and places in which they
mm,
operate in. It was obvious to me when I was fundraising that local authorities are cash strapped. We know that. And they can't move quickly because of all the bureaucracy that comes around
mm-hmm,
government. And that's absolutely understandable. House builders are interested in residential, and the commercial piece is naturally secondary, relatively low value, not so important. And this is pre pandemic. And I started to realize quite quickly that the real owners of the landlords, the big players, are pension funds. They're institutions. They own our high streets. They own our shopping centres, our shopping malls.
mm-hmm,
They own our major retail infrastructure, and they are the key player potentially in a lot of job creation. So I kind of short. I had a long list to short list, I would say, and very quickly identified Legal in General as head and shoulders stand out as a business, as an institution, and it's a nearly 200-year-old institution, L&G. Um, they care, they give a shit, and
mm-hmm,
that was important to me. Good people, they really care about the communities in which they own and operate in, and they absolutely keep the underlying investor in the front of their mind. So for me,
mm-hmm.
ethically, they're a great partner. Naturally, we're talking ultra patient capital. So I always say this I always say this, you have to be patient with patient capital. And I think that's really important that for me, I keep that at the forefront of my mind. And
Mm-hmm.
when we are investing, when we are making these significant investments in these towns, and towns like Poole, where L&G invested 3 million quid into the shopping centre to deliver Foundry, it has made a significant impact to the local economy. There are lots of ways we can measure it with economic value add, job creation, and all those things. But all you need to do is walk around a shopping centre and you can see the change is really impressive. So
I love it.
so for me, LNG, a perfect partner. They they get it. They understand my entrepreneurial drive, and together we harness that and we try to do really good things on high streets, in communities, and in business parks. You know, it's not just
Mm-hmm.
about co-working. So
Yeah. Yeah, love it. Hey guys, just breaking in to let you know that we have an amazing event coming up this spring. It's Juicy's 50th in New York City. You need to be in the room, and how you do that is you join us by buying a ticket. You can get your ticket at na.juicy.co, which stands for North America, by the way. And then if you would like to join us in the UK, we've got an event coming up in Manchester and one in London. You can get more details on that at uk.juicy.co. And last but not least, africa.juicy.co. We've got an event coming up in September in Cape Town that we're super excited about. We want to learn what's going on in Africa, and we want to pour everything we can into that continent. If you'd like to have a juicy ad or be a podcast guest or talk to us about sponsorship or anything else, just hit us up at info@gcuc.co. Talk to you soon. And then, one of the things we often hear you talking about is the importance of curating community rather than just filling desks. Normally, when you're engaged with a real estate partner, you're not talking about community. So this is different. Can you talk about the curation process and what it actually looks like on the ground floor of a Foundry location?
sure, yeah. I mean, I've said it before and I'll keep saying it. It's cross sector, cross live stage. You need to have a big mix. and often a wide mix. In the
Uh-huh.
towns that we operate in the regional and suburban locations, it needs to be bigger. Your pool needs to be bigger in pool. It can't, I couldn't have had the success that we have had in Eastbourne if we would have been sector specific. So
Mm.
we needed to be cross life stage. So businesses from seed, pre-revenue, right the way through to established businesses, and cross sector. So from pretty much any sector. And I think
Mhm.
a really interesting and testing product that we've just launched and which I didn't touch on is Foundry Bromley. Bromley is
Mm.
a leafy suburb in South London. I think it's one of the biggest London boroughs, very leafy in South London. And we've just launched a new product there, Foundry Bromley, which is essentially, put it in property terms, micro-industrial, but it's premium
Mm.
co-working in micro-industrial. So instead of desks, instead of front doors, it's roller shutters.
Mhm.
Instead
Mhm.
of dedicated desking, it's
Mhm.
sack barrows and communal forklifts and pallet
Mhm.
trucks. So it's space
Mhm.
for make, ship, and sell. And to give you an
Mhm.
idea how we are curating that, there's a guy in there currently. I went in there last week. He's wearing a lab jacket in a micro industrial unit, probably about 400 square feet. I knocked on his door. He looked up, and he kind of looked like people my age will get this. You'll get this, Liz. Honey, I Shrunk the
Mhm.
Kids. When the guy's looking down, he's kind of
Yeah.
looked like that with his binoculars on or his microscope thing on. What are you doing in there? Oh, come and have a look. He's painting Hugh Jackman's contact lenses for a movie.
Oh, wow. How
So
cool.
how niche, but again, that's in the suburbs of London. This isn't,
Mhm.
this isn't zone one. This is way out in the suburbs. And
Mhm.
the other end of the scale, you've got a window factory, you've got a frame
Mhm.
business, you've got some wellness going on, you've got some class, some group wellness going on, etc. So for me, it's that cross sector piece. The
Mhm.
actual, what that looks like, and yes, it is a retention tool on the ground, is Gary, who's with us in New York and
Mhm.
I think he's on stage as well. Gary runs Foundry 5. And Foundry 5, again, in New York, we did it on Tuesday. So
Mhm.
it's on the High Line. It's been on the High Line. Um, Fantastic initiative. We're doing it in New York, as we spoke about, but we do it at all the Foundry locations. And Foundry 5 is a 5K run. It's a run club. It's not about Foundry members. It's about the whole community. So we open the run club up to the entire community. You don't have to be a member
Mhm.
to come, and I'll buy you a beer. And the key to that is combating loneliness. So the
Yeah.
single biggest point we hear from people that come to our Foundry 5 events, and they're really well attended. They're not park
Mhm.
runs, but they are well
Mhm.
attended free 5K trots,
Mhm.
is I'm doing it because I don't know anyone. I'm doing it because I work from
Yeah.
home and I don't get the social interaction I used to get.
Yeah.
So multi layers of curation and thought that goes into what is this Foundry there to do and who is this Foundry servicing. So
Mhm.
Eastbourne has very different requirements to Poole, both coastal towns, but very, very different coastal towns. So yeah, it's an interesting conundrum wherever we go.
I love that you curate each location based on the community. Like, that's so smart. That's really great. And then, the whole reason I do Juicy is because I realized if I can help proliferate more co working around the world, we can maybe make a meaningful dent in the loneliness epidemic. Because, yes, people are very lonely at home, but the majority of your day is spent working. And if you're working alone, odds are you're lonely. Now, is there a small sector that is highly introverted and doesn't really need that? Yes, but the vast majority of the population needs it. And actually, the loneliness epidemic just eclipsed cancer for the most fatal disease in the world.
I can believe it. I remember
Hmm.
we were launching launching Pool, and it's got a massive sign on the front of it. It's like the letters are like 6 meters high. And there was a chap came over to see me, and I was doing the tours back then myself,
Hmm.
literally living
Yeah.
out back of my pickup truck. And the chap came over to see me, and he lived in the block of flats opposite. And he said, I've watched the sign going up, I cannot tell you how excited I am for this to
Mm,
open in my hometown. That building has been vacant for 20 years that you're in.
wow.
He said, the reason I'm excited is because I've just spent the last 3 years chatting to my cat, and I can't wait to get back out into my local community, working in a space like you're going to deliver. And he's a member. He's been a member. Well, this has just hit 3 years old, and he's been a member for
Mm,
3 years. It's changed his life.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
he's part of a 350 strong community here. They go sea swimming on a Friday.
Mm,
They
love
do
it.
all park run on a Saturday morning. It's incredible.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's why, like, there's so many amazing humans in coworking, and I've often tried to kind of put my finger on why, and I've decided it's because it's people that are excited about helping other people, and you're excited about helping other people. I'm excited about helping other people. I mean, at our core, we just want humans to thrive, and that's so awesome. Okay, I cannot believe this. I could talk to you for like 2 hours. There's so many areas to go and all of this, and we're getting close to the end of our time. So I have 2 more questions for you, Adam. The first one is from the broader workspace industry, as you look at co-working, what's one thing that you're super excited about for the future and one thing we need to like drop immediately?
I think, and I don't want to sound like an echo chamber, but I do. I'm loving the maturity that's coming
Mm,
through from operators. Uh,
mhm,
I'm witnessing it firsthand. I'm. We are getting it. We understand that we are intrinsically linked to the property industry when it comes to the
mhm,
commercial side of things. Um, we've learned a lot from those early days, which we all know the WeWork story.
mhm,
But we have a lot to thank those guys for and what they
mhm.
did
Yeah.
for us and making it real. I certainly would not have got uh, into a capital light model with an institutional investor like Legal & General if it wasn't for these very early adopters, the Togs, the
Mhm.
WeWorks, etc. So that's the one thing that I'm loving is the maturity that's coming through. It's grown up.
Mhm.
Still fun,
Yeah.
but the commercial model is starting to mature. That's really important. And I think the one thing I would really like to drop is the carnage of WeWork. I think that just needs to be forgotten about.
Mm.
That's done.
I agree.
They're paying tax. It's a good business, and there are
Mhm.
sub markets in which they are absolutely smashing it. And it's really important that we recognise that.
Yeah, like, move on, everybody. I love
Yep,
I think it was Henry Ford, and I always bastardize this quote, but it's something to the effect of, "The competitor you should worry about the most is the one who doesn't worry about you at all."
absolutely. Yeah.
Like, move on, focus on your own business. Love that. Okay, last question, and you have 4 minutes. I left us some time on this one because this
Cool.
is my favorite question because it's the least heavy lift for me, which is, what question should I have asked you, but I didn't? And then you get to answer it.
That's a good one. Hmm.
Take your time.
Are you coming to New York, Adam? Here I am. um, yeah, I I think that I'd probably like to see um, the property industry
Mhm,
getting behind what we are doing. In other words, I don't expect that traditional industry to swing to it's a super tanker. They've got drivers, they've got valuation techniques, they've got all their
mhm,
stuff. That's great, and it's worked for centuries. But things are moving so quickly right now. Um, in our world, in Flex, and whether you are a managed operator, a serviced operator, genuine community builders, um, there are some brilliant operators out there that are out in the regions really making a difference. And they're not massive
mhm,
operators. And it will be, it's so important that when it comes to the crunch moment, which is valuation, that we as an industry, we as a business, I think that is it rising tide lift all boats? I think that's
yeah.
it's very pool nautical theme. Um, as an industry, everybody benefits. And if we
Mhm,
if we all pull together and if we all start sharing data, and I think the initiative in the UK, the WIN initiative, we joined up with Legal in General. We think that's
Great.
brilliant. It's fantastic for us because when we are writing IC papers, investment committee papers, we've now got data. We've now got real insight, not advertised desk rates, actual desk rates, achieved desk rates. So for me, bit of maturity there, which is massive. It will drive all the commercial levers that we need to pull to get the valuers, to get the property people on side to understand that actually we really do create value in many ways. Yes, on the net operating income, but in many ways we create value. So I think getting that across the sector sustainably and as quickly as possible would be key for us right now.
Yeah, that's a really tough one, right? Because the real estate industry is so old. It's been ripe for disruption for a long time. And they're just not, it's such a big ship. It's really hard to get it to move. And yes, investors, we need better data. The good news is I love the WIN initiative that you guys are doing in the UK. If you guys don't know about it, look up the podcast I did with Elliot Gould and Jonathan Blevins. And of course, it came out of Juicy because where else would it come out of? And, I think the other thing that's great is Yardi is starting to get some really exciting data together. And they're sharing that with the industry. Actually, Sam Rosen will be on stage today with Yardi in New York talking about a new dashboard that's going to blow everybody's mind. So I think we're getting there. And I feel very confident that as we're really seeing co-working accelerate across the globe, that the money will follow. It's taking a long time, but the money will follow.
I feel the confidence is definitely coming through when we're writing cash flows, when we're sitting down in front of fund managers, investors, etc. They get it, and I think real testament to patient capital. If you can get long income funds and annuity style funds behind this product, flex product, we're getting there. As an industry, we're getting there. So I think pat on the back for the Foundry team because we are now
You guys are a
essentially
great example.
unlocking patient capital and bringing it into the sector. And I think that's really important. So no pressure on us. We've got to get this right.
Oh my gosh. I love all the experimenting you guys are doing. I love it so much. I'm slightly jealous. That sounds so fun to me. But Adam, thank you so much for your time. I'm so excited that literally the morning this is coming out is the morning you're on stage at Juicy because I think we're going to change the trajectory of mental health in our industry. And I'm here for it.
Yeah, I'm here for it. And I want to do it together, all of us.
Yep, definitely. Adam, thank you again for joining us and sharing your incredible journey with Foundry and the UK co-working scene. And thanks to everyone listening to the Juicy podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, please take a moment to follow, and subscribe to the podcast. That way you'll never miss a conversation about the future of co-working and community. If you want to be part of the global co-working movement in person, join us at a Juicy. New York is today, but we have Manchester in June, and September we'll be in Cape Town, and October we'll be back in London. So you have lots of opportunities to join us this year. You can still grab a ticket to Juicy if you'd like to pay our exorbitant door prize at na.juicy.co. Thanks for listening, and we see you next time on the Juicy Podcast.